Hi Chelsea fans, welcome to my match review of the FA Cup final. It's taken me a day or two to get myself together just to try and do this video. After such a good start, everything just turned into a complete nightmare with everything going against us. That included the way we were playing ourselves, injuries, refereeing decisions. I know you've seen plenty of this already, but I just wanted to get my take on it. So let's get cracking. It's safe to say that every single one of us Chelsea fans went into the game with excitement, with optimism, and felt as though we were confident that we could get the job done against Arsenal, having seen the way we played against Man United in the previous game, in the semi-final. And that first 15 minutes, Chelsea were everything that we thought they could be, we knew they could be, and what Frank Lampard wanted them to be. We pressed high. We created Arsenal so many problems. We were dominant. We literally forced them into mistakes. We got the goal. Christian Pulisic, Giroud, the link up, the flick on to Pulisic, who was causing absolute havoc along with Mason Mount and Giroud in that first 15 minutes. And when we scored, you could only see Chelsea creating them even more problems and maybe getting a second before half time. The problem was, and it's a whole number of reasons, but this is just my take on it, and it's up to you whether you agree with me or not. But my take was exactly what Frank Lampard said after the game. And I'm just going to quote Frank because he was honest, as he always is, and he got it spot on for me in his post-match interview when he said this. He said, "We started well for 10 to 15 minutes, scored a goal, had other chances, controlled the game. We could only blame ourselves from that point in football terms because we decided to take control, as in, let's get complacent. Let's take our time on the ball. Let's try and play short passes like it's a bit of a stroll. An FA Cup final can never be a stroll. We allowed them back into the game. And when it's like that, it's hard to get yourself back in it. We did in the second half of big periods, but a lot of today was on us. We were slow, played back on ourselves, invited pressure. We didn't perform well enough to win a final. It all came together for us today, didn't it? We're below par after the start. 2 hamstrings, dislocated shoulder. William was injured yesterday and had to pull out of the game. We're at the end of a long, long season, but it felt like it came to a tipping point a bit today." Spot on, and I agree with everything that he's just said there, because Chelsea's game in the past few weeks, forget the Liverpool disaster and Sheffield United, has always been about the link-up, moving the ball forward quickly, getting it wide with the two wing-backs, into Giroud and playing off of him. Mason Mount, Pulisic playing off of Giroud. And for that first 15 minutes in that game on Saturday, we did. And it was working perfectly well. Giroud was keeping the likes of David Luiz busy. And the other two were just flitting around him. They weren't playing necessarily wide. They were playing inside number 10s and swapping positions, appearing from one part, Pulisic on the right-hand side appearing left, Mount doing the same with the opposite. And Chelsea were thrilling. They were entertaining and exciting going forward. As soon as we decided to, as Frank says, get complacent and see it as a bit of a stroll, the intensity of our play just completely disappeared. And at that point, Olivier Giroud became isolated. Mason Mount and Christian Pulisic couldn't influence as much as they had previously. Arsenal began to use what they saw was Chelsea's weakness, which was the ball over the top in between Azpilicueta and Reece James, who as the wing-back was playing high the whole time. Now, you could probably look back at that game and see 5, 6, 7 times that long ball went over that side in that first half, and eventually it got Arsenal some reward with a penalty that, to be honest with you, Aubameyang's made a lot of it with his dive when he's in the box, but Azpilicueta should never have put himself in that position where he is then inviting VAR and the referee to make a decision. He got caught the wrong side, whereas Frank spoke openly, saying that we're to expect these long balls and we didn't play for them. And we were punished with the penalty. So that's 1-1. Now, even after that point, Arsenal were well back in the game. Chelsea Chelsea created some opportunities, but not that many that I can recall. And the intensity of our play disappeared. And you get into half time, and like Arsenal were the ones that were on top. Chelsea, after such a good start, just literally evaporated in the game. So in the second half, you're looking for a quick start, and we got that. And again, we were looking to. You could see that Frank had got into them. Chelsea had up their intensity in the game again, and it looked promising. And that was until the awful situation with Christian Pulisic and his hamstring. After Cesar Azpi had done his hamstring as well. Now Azpi is a leader. He doesn't seem to be, from the outside in, massively vocal, but he is vocal when he needs to be. And you could see him, he's always encouraging and trying to G up the players. As soon as he went off and Christensen come on in the middle with Zuma on the right-hand side and Rudiger on the left-hand side, the voice at the back disappeared. As I say, Azpi's not exactly the loudest, but he's still a voice there. You know, and that voice then at the back sort of disappeared. And we needed next in line, which was Jorginho, who to his credit was trying to encourage and trying to dictate where we were playing and you know, and he tried to lift the players. And you could see that second half when we first started, we were up and at it again, I should say. I can't get my words out. But as soon as Pulisic went off, I think every single one of us just thought at the time, I can't see us scoring. I can't see us creating problems as we had done. Briefly in the first half, briefly in the beginning of the second half. And Pulisic going off was a massive blow for everyone, for all of us. And we just hope that he's going to be okay. The players have got 2 days off. Today's the second day off. They're back training ahead of Bayern Munich on Saturday. And you just have to say, I mean, the squad, the injuries we've got, you know, it's just going to be, it's a nightmare. And the game turned into a nightmare. Arsenal, having seen us lose 2 of our players to injury and Frank being forced to make 2 changes, he's then only got 1 left to make, and he can make as many as 3 players, which is what he did. But the problem is that N'Golo Kante wasn't match fit, and Frank didn't want to, because he wasn't, you know, he wasn't 100% certain. He couldn't bring him on in case he broke down injured and left us in a position where we had, you know, 10 men. And then the situation with Kovacic, the booking for Kovacic and Anthony Taylor is absolute joke. An absolute joke. It was never a foul. And Granit Xhaka should be awarded like some sort of Academy Award for the way that he went down holding on to his shin, where Kovacic didn't even touch his shin. It was just ridiculous. And Xhaka has got a lot to answer for me. But he conned the referee. Anthony Taylor, who's got previous against Arsenal, Chelsea, sending somebody off, Victor Moses, back in 2017. Quick to go and pull out that yellow card. Now, VAR, what the hell were VAR doing? Why didn't they step in and say, we've seen the replay from different angles. He doesn't actually touch him. Jacques has made the most of it and reversed the decision. I'll never know. But the decision stood. VAR needs to have some balls to go to referees and say, no, you've made a wrong choice here. Have a look at this again and do it properly. That's what they need to do, but they don't do it. So we go down to 10 men. And at that point, you know that everything's gone against us. Azpi, Pulisic, Kovacic. And then, so to Frank's credit, what can he do? He brings on 3 subs towards the end of the game to try and spark some life into us. And but for 1 or 2 wayward passes, when we're trying to play the through ball in, it could have been a different story. We could have at least got to a 2-2, but it was just never going to be. And Frank spoke about it being in us, getting to the point where we feel like we're a bit complacent. And it just, that's what happened. And our possession was bad. We were just playing the ball sideways. But I know people are banging on about this on social media yesterday, saying, you know, Jorginho this and Jorginho that. But when you're playing with 10 men, and it's, you know, you're playing with we kept like the 3-4 towards the back covering, you know, you've got restricted numbers. So when you get the ball in midfield, you're not going to have a lot of options because you haven't got that many people in front of you. Because Chelsea were trying to keep a shape where they didn't concede again and try to look to do something on the counter-attack, which just didn't happen. But the problem was, and what Frank said, before we had the injuries and before we had Kovacic sent off. That's the way we started playing, sideways. Too slow, too laboured. Chelsea, and I keep saying it over and over again, Chelsea are at their best when they move the ball quickly into wide areas or into the feet of the striker and play off of him for link-up play. We saw it with the goal we scored, and probably you have to say, being honest with you, from the moment we scored that goal, that the interchange might have been there once or twice, but after that it just disappeared, evaporated. Giroud became a passenger. It became easy for Arsenal to deal with Giroud because our possession was so slow. They could get themselves back into a defensive shape and just deal with it. And David Luiz did well up against him, you have to say. And Giroud didn't have one of his best days. And you have to be honest about that. But, as I say, it just felt as though we'd really let ourselves down after being in such a good position after such a good start. And that's what hurts everyone the most. And the players, you can imagine the players are just on the floor at the minute. And it's Frank and Jodie's job and Joe's to bring everybody up for the Bayern game, where we got numerous injuries now. We're 3-0 down. And let's be honest with you, it's going to take a miracle to try and get a result out there with the players we've got available. And just like someone to try and create that sort of a spark. Mason can do it, Hudson-Odoi can do it, but he's not consistent enough yet, Hudson-Odoi. You know, you never know what can happen, and we have to be optimistic. But I just want to do this video about the game because that's the way I felt. So that's it. So that's it from me. That's just my take on the game. I know you guys probably feel the same, or maybe you feel a little bit different. But yeah, it was just after such a good start, it just turned into an absolute nightmare. If you've liked the video, smash the like button for me, then subscribe to the channel, but make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss my videos come out. And stay tuned for a bonus video coming out this evening, looking at the situation with our transfer strategy now, and just to try and make sense of where realistically we can go. That's out tonight at 7 PM. Stay tuned for that. Please like, subscribe, post all your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you this evening.